Hey, look, it's the Kaiju Collector, yay!
Hey everyone, Nate with the Kaiju Collector, and today is finally the day. Today, you get to see my entire Godzilla collection. Now, just a disclaimer, this video is going to be a bit of a ramble video at the same time because I don't have a script for this video. That's basically it. Alright, so let's begin. Okay, so before the collection itself starts, like, going into these figures in depth individually, I'm just gonna show off their shelves first, because that's basically what the figures are held in. So let's just start off with this shelf with the Movie Monster series, TheKaiju series, and Playmates figures from 1954 to 2025. So let's begin. Actually, let's start at the top here. We have this nice Godzilla 2021 statue I forgot how much it was, but it was kind of expensive. We have the Anguirus 1955 Imaginative Color figure, and the reason why he's up here is because he takes up so much space in the shelf that I kind of had to take him out to fix and make the shelf look nicer, because I put this guy in once, the shelf was super crammed, so I just took him out and fixed everything. Here are the Showa era figures, which span from here to here. And as you can see here, we have not just Godzilla, we have some Ultraman figures here. And it's pretty nice. We also have this nice little Gigan figure I got from a gachapon back in Japan. Yeah, pretty nice collection. It is a bit crammed, but this is the best I could do here. We have some of the Movie Monster series figures. I think a couple Playmates in there, as you can see, like in the back there. And now, moving on to Heisei era. Of course, this guy is here, the Godzilla Island Monster Series Heisei era Godzilla figure. And that's pretty much it with the Heisei era. It ends about here. And moving on to one of my biggest collections, and the entirety of the Movie Monster series and stuff, is the Millennium era, which, surprisingly, I only have, I believe, one Playmates figure, which is this thing in the back. Also, just to note, I also have a couple Bandai Creation figures here as well, such as the 2004 Godzilla and the Ghidorah in the back over there. But yeah, as you can see, there are a couple figures you didn't even know I owned, like, for example, Monster X and Baragon from the original Movie Monster series, and this Final Wars Anguirus, the theater exclusive. I'll talk about him a little bit later. Here is the Reiwa and Monsterverse figures, as you can see here. It isn't too much, but they're mainly just Playmates and Movie Monster series figures, and as you can see, I have a clear passion for collecting Bandai Godzilla -1 figures, as you can see here. I have like 4 or 5 of them at this point. Here's some Shakugan figures and the Mothra Legends Heisei Godzilla. I don't remember where it's from. I believe that's the name of the line. And moving on to the second shelf, let's take a look at the top here. We have some SH Figure Arts One Piece figures here. We have the Romance Dawn Luffy in his Volume 1 pose, and the Gear 5 Luffy with all of his accessories like the Joy Boy head and the Gum Gum arms. Here's all the NECA figures here. We have basically all the ones I can find. I know I have a couple more, like the NECA 1964 and the other Monsterverse Godzillas, but these are the ones I could find so far. And yeah, it's a pretty decent collection, because if I put those in, it really wouldn't change much. Here's all the Gamera figures I own. As you can see, I mainly collect the Heisei era. I still need a Gamera 96 to complete my modern day Movie Monster series Heisei Gamera collection, but every time I find him, like whether it's the US or Japan, he's always super expensive. Like in Japan, I found him for like, I think the cheapest, like $80 or something. So I can't find him. I wish I could find him. I'll try and find maybe like an older version. I don't know. It's still a very good collection. We have 99 Gamera from the original line and Iris. These two are my prized collections for the Gamera line here. And of course, the 2006 original Hyper Gauss figure from the Movie Monster series. And finally, my prized figures in my entire collection, aka the first ever Godzilla toy line by Bandai. I don't own all of them, but these are the ones I could find so far. Megalon here is very interesting, so I'll talk about him a little bit later. But we do have some very nice figures, especially this guy. I really do like him. I'll talk about him later. Some Ultraman figures in the back, and Jiger. He smells really bad. And at the lower shelf here, I'm gonna put this in for later figures I find, but for now, this is just a spot for my PlayStation 3, 2, and 1 games, so that's basically it. And yeah, that's essentially my entire Godzilla collection. I'm gonna go into these a little bit more in depth individually right now. Oh boy, this is gonna be very fun. Nice. Alright, let's start off with these 3 Shodai Goji figures. These aren't the first in my collection, but these are the first in the timeline so far. As you can see, we have the Bandai Creations 1954 Godzilla, the modern 2019 re-release of the 2001 TheKaijuCollector series figure, I believe, and the Tsuburaya color version, which is my favorite out of all of them because, one, he's from the TheKaijuCollector series, and he just looks really nice on my shelf. He stands out there. So here are my 2 first figures that you might not have known I had in my collection here. We have the Bandai Movie Monster series, Baragon 1965 from the modern day Movie Monster series, the one from Frankenstein vs. Baragon, and this special one, the Godzilla, the art, I believe, here's his name here, artist who designed this figure, and they re-released it for public consumption. I got this figure in Japan. He was very expensive, not surprising considering he's a Godzilla the art figure, but he is a absolutely fantastic figure because, well, just look at him. He looks so nice. I'm gonna do a proper review on him later, but just from these first looks, he is a masterpiece. Here are my Playmates Jet Jaguar and Gorosaurus. Not much to talk about them here except for the tails. Most of my figures that are highly articulated or have very long tails and they can be removed, I just take them off to save up shelf space. So if you see a bunch of these figures without tails, that's why I need to save space. Although one notable thing here is that this figure famously cannot stand even if you move his hand like this. Yeah, he just won't stand. Nope, here he goes. Okay, so here is my Bandai Movie Monster series Gorosaurus from the Godzilla store. I actually got him in the Godzilla store Tokyo. This Super 7 Jet Jaguar, he's a very nice figure. You can play around with him a lot. He's very small though. And this guy, the Bandai Creations guy again. This figure is a funny story. I found him at like a comic book shop for like $5. I didn't know why it was $5, but I figured it out really quickly because this thing was caked in dust when I first bought him. So I guess that's why. And also the glue seal on this thing is it's broken off. So every time I try to put him on, his tail will just like fall apart all the time like this. It's really annoying. So I just put him like this and I forget about it. But this figure took a nosedive just like 2 seconds ago. Here are the last 4 figures in my entire Showa era for the Movie Monster series and stuff. Here we have Godzilla 1975 and Titanosaurus. You've already seen my review on them. Go check them out. I might put them in the description. But yeah, check them out. It's fairly recent on my channel. I don't know. And you've seen these in my size comparisons on my YouTube channel. The Bandai Movie Monster series Godzilla Store exclusive Jet Jaguar and Megalon retro color version. What happened to you, Jet? You always stood up. Alright, time to begin my Heisei era collection. Here's the Godzilla Movie Monster series 1991 color renewal figure. I've already made a review on this figure. Check it out on my YouTube channel. And, of course, you know him. You probably love him. The Bandai Godzilla Island Monster Series Heisei era Godzilla figure. Now, I don't know why I just don't review this figure. Maybe it's because I really wanted this figure for like 4 years, and I finally got him for like $10 in Japan because for some reason they were selling him for this much, and at the time during the exchange rate, he was like $12. So I got him there. I freaked out when I bought him. And yeah, I just never reviewed him. I just kept him on my shelf, never touched him, unless I had to film videos. So yeah, I don't know when I'm gonna review this thing. If you guys have a date you want to put in the comments or something, I don't know. But yeah, very nice figure, I'll give it that. Yeah. Here is surprisingly the only Heisei era figure in my collection that's released by Playmates, I think. The Playmates Burning Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. Destoroyah, I call it both of them. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I love this figure, unironically. This just might be my definitive Burning Godzilla. I did have a Burning Godzilla, the 2017 figure, hence the reason why his tag is in the background next to my dust-off can right there. That's been completely used, by the way. Godzilla looks like Godzilla somewhat. I just don't like the teeth on him. But yeah, this figure is amazing. When I first got him, I played around with him a lot. Oh, it's a good figure when you play with it a lot. So, you know, very fond memories of this figure. Now, on to the two mechas, not the only two, but the two main mechas in my entire Heisei collection. The Bandai Movie Monster series, Mechagodzilla 2 and Mecha King Ghidorah. I wanted to get the standard Heisei King Ghidorah in Japan, but at the time, he was like $40, $50 for some reason. This guy was like 20. So I wanted to get this figure because it was just a lot cheaper than the standard Movie Monster series King Ghidorah. This one, as you can see here. So I just didn't bother buying that one and instead got the Mecha King Ghidorah. And arguably, I do just like the Mecha King Ghidorah design better than the normal one. But that newer one just looks like the head sculpts and everything looks much better than these ones because these are just the I believe the Toho Kaiju series mold just repurposed for this figure. So yeah, I guess you got that. And Mechagodzilla 2, he is very short for some reason. If you watch my review, you know how short this thing is. He is shorter than my Godzilla Island Monster series Heisei era Godzilla figure, which before I got this guy was the shortest figure in my entire collection. This guy's shorter than that, somehow. Okay, so here is my Bandai Creation Space Godzilla and Destoroyah from the Movie Monster series. These two are pretty cool. Space Godzilla, I don't know what happened, but I can't find his second part of the tail. I took it off once. It's somewhere around my setup. I need to find it again, but it is there somewhere. I don't know where it went, but it's definitely here. And as for Destoroyah, yeah, he is the shortest figure in my entire collection, excluding the Shakugan figures. But yeah, he is the absolute shortest. I think he's like 4.5 or 5 inches tall. I don't remember, but he's pretty cool. He is still somehow taller than the modern one because when I saw him in person, he was crouched down for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm keeping this figure for now as my definitive Destoroyah until you get like the Godzilla Collection figure or even the Toho Kaiju series or whatever. And here is my, what is it called? Bandai Creations Mechagodzilla from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. In many ways, this figure is better. For example, he's a lot taller, but there are also some flaws. For example, he's too dull. His metal is way too dull. It's like shine. I'm going to do a review on him at some point. I don't know when, but I did compare this guy to the Movie Monster series version. So, yeah, check out my review of the Movie Monster series figure to see my thoughts on this figure. Okay, here is my Bandai Movie Monster series Mogura and Space Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Mogura was released back in 2019. This is the color renewal version for Space Godzilla. Super long. I know you can move his tail, but one time I did that and I almost lost his tail, so I just kept it back on. Still need to find the Creation Space Godzilla tail. I need to find it somehow. Okay, here is my Bandai Godzilla Island Monster series Rodan 1993, the Fire Rodan to be specific. He's pretty cool. I got him for like $3 around the same time when I got the Godzilla Island Monster series Heisei era Godzilla figure. I don't know why I'm gonna review him either, but we do have the Godzilla Movie Monster series bag in here from Godzilla Movie Studio Tour, so that's pretty cool. It is currently now the Millennium Era in the Movie Monster series, as you can see here, and we have some heavy hitters here with the Bandai Movie Monster series Godzilla from Godzilla 2000, the 2016 version, and one of my newer figures, the Bandai New Movie Monster series Godzilla from Godzilla Megaguirus, the Odaiba Decisive Battle version, from what I can see from here. So that's really cool. And as you can see here, he has some beautiful dorsal fins. And one of my favorites, the Odaiba Decisive Battle Megaguirus. This figure is so cool. I love his/hers, I don't know. I'll just say her amazing purple paint. It is translucent, and I like translucent plastic and stuff. The wings are the standout here. They look nice. I love the tag on this figure. So much I want to talk about, but I'm going to save that for the review later at some point. Okay, so these three here are from my second favorite Godzilla movie, Godzilla Monster King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack. That name is pretty much a mouthful. Still better than how I said it like 4 years ago.
Godzilla Monster King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All Out Attack. And yes, I can speak Japanese.
Anyways, as you can see here, we have the new Bandai Movie Monster series, Godzilla 2001, the Baragon 2001 from the original line, which surprisingly doesn't scale that badly if you crouch him or something. It does match well, and if you do it like this with Baragon, it looks really weird, but it does somewhat work if you want to display in like a dynamic way, which I don't do. But if you happen to own these two, then it'll work out fine, I guess. And the third one here, oh boy, what do I talk about here? Again, like Gigan and Mechagodzilla 2, I forgot to mention, I also got this at the exact same comic book shop for like $5. I came home, and then I just saw the tail was missing. I don't know why the tail was missing, but then I realized that the toy was like $5, and I was like, you know what, why not? This is fine, I guess. I guess I could just say it's battle damage or something. I don't know. And overall, this figure's okay. Worst part about it is that this thing is a shelf hog. Same with the modern King Ghidorah 2001. These figures are horribly designed, like the wings especially, because unlike most Ghidorah figures, you can't even fold the wings. If you fold them the way like the Mecha Ghidorah or something, they don't do anything. I know modern versions, like revisions of this mold in particular, have fixed this problem, but for some reason, I own the original mold, which is like the worst version, because, yeah, it will, one, it will topple over, like that. It is so annoying, so I just put him on the back, and, I mean, it's an okay mold, but I just don't like his teeth. They're too big. I'll talk about them later someday, I don't know. Okay, so here are, the new Bandai Movie Monster series, Godzilla 2002 and Kiryu 2002. These two I got from my recent trip to Japan about almost a month ago at this point. Not so long time ago, really, wow. And yeah, probably my second favorite Mechagodzilla figure, and I'll talk about that one later. But this one is very nice. I love the paint on it, except for the tail. They just didn't bother, but that's fine. It is significantly better than the modern one we got back in like 2022 or something, but still very nice. Works perfectly with this figure because they were made at the same time. No, wait, no, this guy was made like almost like a year before this guy. I don't know, but they work perfectly. So yeah, that's cool. Okay, so these two are my Kiryu 2003 and Hedorah 2004. These were my first two figures from my time back in Godzilla, because there was this time period for like about like a year where I basically just didn't collect Godzilla because I just didn't care for the releases at the time. And then in my local comic book store, they finally started selling at the time these figures, the like the Hedorah and Mechagodzilla. So I picked these two up at the same time. Their tags are missing because I took the tags off with the hairdryer. So that's what happened to him. And Hedorah's arm, this is not my fault. Every time you rotate it all the way around, the arm pops off. That's fine. I could just put back on. But even so, the arm will still detach occasionally. So that happens. That's pretty much it. Okay, Godzilla Final Wars isn't my favorite Godzilla movie, but for some reason, I own 3 of these Godzilla Final Wars figures. I don't know why. These two are okay. This one's kind of mediocre. This guy's cool. But my favorite Final Wars figure is this guy. For those who don't follow my Instagram, you should go follow. But, I basically take this figure wherever, do whatever I want with this figure, and I take pictures and post on Instagram. It's called the day blank of posting my final Goji figure doing goofy shenanigans. That's literally the tagline for every single one of my posts on Instagram, well, like the main ones. I just post them doing whatever I want to do. This is like my main Godzilla figure I had for a very long while until I went to Japan. So this guy has a lot of value to him. As you can see, he is a bit beat up and stuff, but if you remember, I had this like half-year-long hiatus on YouTube. I came back with this review of this figure in particular. So yeah, he is pretty important to this channel and to me in general. He is one of my favorites. I've said it a bunch of times, but yeah, he is pretty important to me. As for these two figures here, this figure's alright, and this figure's the same figure I did a 20-minute long review on when I was like 10. Don't watch that video. Alright, so I'm doing these all in one part here. Here is, I believe, almost my entirety of the Final Wars figures that I own. I also own the Anger, so I'm going to talk about that one later. But here we have Monster X. I got this guy in Japan. I already did a review on Gigan. Check that video out on him. I did that about like a year ago. And Mothra and Rodan, I bought them both in Japan. Rodan specifically has a very interesting backstory, and where I got him for like $20. No, I think like $15 in Japan is like 2,000 yen, which at the time was like $15. So when I actually took him out of his bag, as you can see here, his foot is warped. It came warped. I don't know how to fix it. Can anyone please tell me how to do it? Do you just like take like a hair dryer and fix it? I don't know, but yeah. He just stands like this for now, and whenever I do literally anything with him, I put him back down again. He will mainly just fall sometimes, so for some reason he won't, but yeah, most of the time he falls down. And as for Mothra, I got her along with a bunch of other monsters in Japan. Yeah, she's a pretty cool figure. She can only move at the head, but that's fine. It's pretty cool. Alright, so get ready to hear me talk about Playmates a lot in the Reiwa/Monsterverse section, because, of course, that's the most, like, the main, style for Playmates. They always just did, Monsterverse figures, so that's where you're gonna get a lot of my Monsterverse figures from. But, here I have the Playmates, 2014 Godzilla from the poster color, I assume. He's okay. I just don't like his lower jaw. It's just, like, really weird. And that's decent. And we got this Godzilla 2021 I got back in quarantine, and I remember when I bought this thing, I literally had to wipe it down with like a Clorox wipe or something to, you know, because it's like COVID at the time. So just to make sure it was safe to play with, I just like wiped it down, and I just left it to like dry out for like an hour, and then I took it out and I played with them a lot. Yeah, that's basically it with these two figures, and moving on to the next ones. Okay, so here are my Playmates Shin Godzilla and Mechagodzilla 2021, like the battle something Mechagodzilla. This Shin Godzilla is pretty cool. I got him when I got the 2014 poster color one. Pretty cool. I do really like his design. It's way better than the original. That's for sure, because that was just like a rip-off of the NECA design, but yeah, pretty cool. And as for this figure is one of the most important figures in my entire collection, mainly for YouTube channel sakes, because this, for some reason, on my channel, when I opened him up back in like 2021, it for some reason has like 100,000 views. I don't know why it has like 100,000 views for this review in particular. I really don't know. Can anyone answer that? But yeah, most popular, very important. I don't know when I'm gonna do a review on this thing, or any of these Playmates figures in general, because I don't review Playmates, I review Bandai figures. So I don't know. You might see a review on them. I don't know. Stay tuned, I guess. Alright, so here is my Godzilla 2024. I reviewed this figure and the Battle Roar one back in like June or July of last year, and yeah, he's a pretty cool figure. I do really like the atomic breath part. I do like his translucent dorsal fins. I just didn't like how there was like this weird salmon pink figure paint, sorry. And yeah, if you want my thoughts on this figure, check out the full review. And same goes for the Battle Roar Godzilla, which I believe the batteries still work on them. Do they? Yep, they do work, and yeah, very nice. I do like how, unlike Hasbro with their Jurassic World figures, they would actually try to hide the bullet holes, screw holes, I forgot the name of them. They decided to hide them by putting pieces of plastic over them. I don't know why Hasbro didn't do this. Anyways, that's pretty much it with these two figures. Now moving on to, I don't know what else I'm gonna do. Okay, so here is my Bandai Movie Monster series, Shin Godzilla, the 2024 reissue. It's like my newest video, so go check out my review on that one. You'll see all my thoughts on him. But just to restate the facts here, I really like this design. I do love his paint on his neck here and stuff. I just wish they added more paint. Sometimes it didn't work, but they could have done it, for example, on like the sides and stuff. I also do love tip of his tail. It is highly detailed, and I highly recommend this figure. So yeah, if you can find him, go ahead and buy him. And this guy right here is very important to me. This is my first ever Bandai Godzilla figure ever, I think. And yeah, I still have to this day pictures of when I first got him. I'll try and put them up if I can find them, but if I don't, I took his tag off almost immediately. I'll just tell you that. I would be crying right now if I did that back nowadays, but yeah, very nice figure. I've definitely played with this figure a lot. Still somehow in pretty good condition, and yeah, I don't like his teeth. I'll just say that. But yeah, very good figure otherwise. Here's the last Playmates figure I'll talk about in my entire collection, and that is the Battle Roar. Oh my god, I keep calling it Battle Roar. The Hong Kong Battle Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong. This guy's okay. I will just say, you can twist his head around like this, so I don't know, you can do this. This is kind of fun. Anyways, it's an okay figure. I like his arms. I don't like his body because, what is this? Alright, here comes Godzilla -1 figures. I own, at least for the standard minus Gochi, I own 4 versions. Technically 3 if you don't count this guy, but yeah. These 3 are very cool. I got these 2 in Japan. I got this guy back in February of last year. I think I got this figure and this figure here, the Odo Island Godzilla, for like $100. Yeah, I really should have bought in Japan, but it's still worth. It's not worth $100, but it is very worth it for like $60 if you buy them both. And as for these 2 figures, they're pretty cool. This guy is just a Godzilla with a bad posture, and this guy is probably the standout in my Reiwa / Monsterverse collection, mainly because he's shiny, and that's pretty cool. Alright, so right here is my recent Japan Godzilla. I guess you could say it's from the movie Monster series. I don't know. I just claim it's from the movie Monster series, but yeah, it's a Godzilla Store exclusive. It's the Sakura colored version. There is also an ink colored version and a Mount Fuji one. I wanted the Mount Fuji one, couldn't find them. The ink one, it just didn't look good to me. And the Sakura one was a Godzilla Store exclusive, so of course I had to buy him. And it's honestly very, very good for, I think, for like $10 or $8 at this point. It's pretty nice, actually. You're just lacking the leg articulation, which I'm not surprised at, but in return, you have tail articulation, so it's absolutely fantastic. And these are all my Shokugan Godzilla figures. I can't even fit them all into frame because I have some. Actually, no, I can't do that. Okay, so yeah, these are all of them. This guy doesn't really count, the guy over here, because he is technically a Mothra Legends figure. I still don't remember the name of the line, but the rest of these figures are indeed Shokugan Godzilla figures. This guy over here, I actually did review like 3 years ago, back when I had like 30 subscribers. So yeah, that's the thing. He is by far my favorite figure in this entire Shokugan line. Maybe behind Rodan or Godzilla Earth or Final Wars. I have a lot of favorites in this line in particular, but yeah, this guy might actually just be my favorite because I've always wanted some sort of 2014 representation of my collection, and this guy is a pretty good substitute until I get maybe the movie Monster series figure, or heck, even the Godzilla SH Monster Arts figure. Okay, so here are the 2 Ultraman figures in my collection. The original Ultraman from the 60s and the original Gamera. Now, these 2 are in 2 separate lines here. As you can see here, it just says Ultra Hero Series, and this one says Ultra Kaiju / Monster Series. So yeah, there is a difference between the 2, and I just wanted to point that out. But anyways, yeah, these figures are pretty cool. They are very nice on my shelf, and yeah, they're painted very well. Okay, so here's the real shelf hog of my entire collection. This Bandai 1955 Anguirus Imaginative Color version, which was based off of the Toys Dream Project Anguirus over here, and it looks good, but it's way too big. Like it's super wide, and it's super long. Like, it is annoying to put this thing in the shelf, so I just don't bother and put him at the top like I said earlier in the video. And as for this little guy, I got him for around $3, which in Japan was around 500 yen. So it was a really nice looking Gaiga and Gachapon, and honestly, I would say this still looks better than the Bandai Creations Gaiga because it has a... Yep, the fin just fell off. Hold on. because this little gachapon actually has a better looking face and body proportions compared to the Creations figure, because the Creations figure has like really bad visors. Like the visor was too big, it was too weird looking. The fins were fine, but the tail was too stumpy, and of course that weird tail issue I mentioned earlier, which is kind of my figure's problem. But overall, it is a very nice figure, absolutely fantastic. And so that concludes it for this shelf. Now, onto this shelf. Okay, so these two over here are my NECA 1956 Godzilla from Godzilla King of the Monsters from 1956, and of course, the King Goji figure from King Kong vs. Godzilla. Now, if you've been on my channel for quite a while, you might remember I reviewed both of them, not in the same video, but individually, and they're both very good figures, as you can see here. Nice articulation, and with the NECA figures especially, that's where you're going to see a lot of these tails being disconnected, because, of course, I want to save as much shelf space as I can, so I removed the tails. Okay, so these two over here are my NECA 1995 Burning Godzilla and 1989 Godzilla. Now, the 1989 Godzilla, or known as Bio Goji, did have the atomic breath piece. It's not with me right now. It's somewhere in a box stored somewhere. So, it is with me. I just have to go grab it at some point. But overall, even without the beam, it looks very well on the shelf, especially Burning Godzilla. This right here might be my favorite NECA Godzilla out of all of them, because, like, just look at it. Maybe it's because I like Burning Godzilla's design, but it just looks so good on my shelf, though. It's so nice. And look at the fade from the orange to the white. That looks so good. Anyways, on to the next figure. Okay, so here are my NECA 2003 and 2001 Godzilla from GMK and Godzilla Tokyo SOS, respectively. Now, this figure in particular, I do not like storing, because just look at his dorsal fins. Like, they are so big, and his tail is so, even with detaching it, it is still super long. So it is so annoying trying to store this thing. Like, every time I want to put it on my shelf, it's like a shelf hog, but it still fits somehow, not like Anger's 1955, but it's just very hard to store. But even besides that, it is a very well-made figure. I mean, I actually prefer this one over the SH Monster Arts one, which honestly looks worse than this figure. And even so, SH Monsters hasn't made a 2003 Godzilla, they've only made a 2002 Godzilla. And as for GMK Godzilla here, yeah, this figure is not that accurate to 2001 Godzilla. In my opinion, the SH Monster Arts Godzilla 2001 is way more faithful than the NECA one. As you can see, he looks too skinny compared to the SH Monster Arts figure. His face is really off. And, I mean, his dorsal plates are the one redeeming factor making this thing look accurate. And for some reason, this thing has ears. Like, some form of ear. It looks weird on this figure, because I don't think 2001 Godzilla had ears to begin with. And also, look at his gums. Why do they look like that? So here is my NECA Shin Godzilla and NECA 2019 Burning Godzilla. As you can see, the Shin Godzilla looks really good, surprisingly. It's not the best Shin Godzilla figure, but it is a very nice looking figure on its own. Design wise, it looks fine. It doesn't look like SH Monster in terms of the sculpt, but the paint job is way better than the SH Monsters figure. Sorry, I said NECA again. It looks so nice. The paint, you can actually see the red marks on his skin. The way it looks, like the dorsal fins is still my only gripe with it, like I said in my original review a long time ago. But it's not as bad as I remember it being, except when you look at the back. This just looks really weird. And as for Godzilla 2019, the Burning Godzilla, it's fine. It's not accurate, but it's fine. I will say, however, this figure is kind of inaccurate. Maybe it's because it was designed before the film was fully finished, but it just looks like the standard 2019 Atomic Breath Godzilla, but colored red and orange. Like, the crackling effect, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't look like the Burning Godzilla from the movie. Everything about it is fine, it's just the crackling effect just doesn't look accurate to the actual movie design. But still, this is a standout in my collection, especially when you put a light over it, which I'll show pictures of. But besides that, they're pretty good figures, honestly. Highly recommend them if you can find them for an affordable price, considering NECA doesn't sell these figures anymore. But still, I recommend trying to find them. So here is my NECA 2019 Rodan, and this figure is okay. And what I mean by that is, the figure itself is very nice looking. I do really enjoy its design and everything. I just don't like its stand. And what I mean by that is not this stand, this part of the stand. It just looks like a broken muffin or something. I don't know what it looks like. It just looks weird. This looks fine, to be honest. And also, I figured out that if you remove the heads on this figure, these little bases over here, as you can see here, you can put the heads onto the base there. It looks weird, but it does work. It does kind of high well with the exploded muffin. But anyways, very good figure. Again, recommend if you can find it for an affordable price. And yeah, that's basically it for the NECA figures. Now on to the Gamera figures. Okay, so here is the Bandai Movie Monster series Gamera 1999 and 1995 from Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris and Gamera Guardian of the Universe respectively. Both of them are absolutely fantastic. If I had to choose which one is my favorite, I honestly have to go with 99 Gamera because it's not bad. It just doesn't look exactly like Gamera. I don't know, something about it. This one does look like Gamera, probably because I'm just more familiar with the 1999's design, but the one thing that this figure is a lot better with is the articulation, because this thing can move at the arms and legs. This thing can only move at the legs for some reason. I don't know why, but that's just the thing with this figure. I'm not sure, but it's still pretty cool. Also, I just want to show off how awesome these tags look. They look way better than the Godzilla Movie Monster series figures. I just wanted to point that out. So here is probably one of the biggest figures in my collection, at least for the Movie Monster series, is my Bandai Movie Monster series Mother Legion from Gamera 2 Advent or Attack of Legion. But this is a absolutely fantastic figure. I got this in Japan for around, I think, $12, I assume. And for $12, at least for the aftermarket, it is very well made, and even as a second-hand product, it's in very good condition. That's a thing with Japan. Whenever you buy second-hand products, most of the time it is still in very good condition, and this figure is a good example because the detail and everything is still intact, and the figure is for some reason like super soft and squishy. I don't know if you can see. It's like very soft, like there, you can see it, right? Yeah, it's super squishy. It does help with the shelf space, honestly, because you can squeeze it, sort of. It's like not to the point of warping, but it will squeeze in between shelf parts so you can fit more figures inside. Okay, here is my Bandai original, I think 2006 Hyper Gyaos figure. I already did a review on this figure back in last June. I can't believe that was a year ago, but this figure is absolutely fantastic. Like I said in my original review, I love the attention to detail that they put on this figure. To me at least, it looks way better than the original figure that was released for the, I think, the original line. Because this is a re-release, if you don't know. But it looks super nice, super well made. I love the detail and sculpt on the Hyper Gyaos. Honestly, I will say, this is my definitive Gyaos figure. If I buy like a Showa one, it could be really good looking, but this will be my definitive Gyaos figure for now. Okay, here are the last two figures in my Gamera section of my shelf. That being the original, I think, what is it? The like Giant Monster series, Gamera 1999 and Iris, both from Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris. These two are one of my favorite figures in my entire collection, mainly because Gamera 3 Revenge of Iris is just straight up one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, not just Kaiju and related, it's just one of my favorites. And it just looks so nice on my shelf. Especially this figure, because I think I own the original variant, because I know there is two variants where the shell is sort of like a greenish color and the other is like a shiny color. I think the shiny color is the original version and the more matte color is the re-release. So I do have the original mold. Very proud to own this figure, and just look at these tags, man. they use real stickers for that Dae picture. This is before they were bought out by Katakawa. And same with Iris, although I will say Iris is pretty cool. I will say way better than the modern one, in my opinion. I know a lot of people prefer the modern one over the original, but in this case, I don't know, something about this mold in particular just looks way better than the modern one. I don't know, but paint-wise, yeah, the modern one absolutely destroys this figure, but it still has some beautiful paint apps, such as in the chest here. I'm gonna save the rest of the paint stuff for the actual review, but overall, these two figures are absolutely fantastic. Okay, time for the last section of this collection video, that being the Godzilla Collection figures, and we're gonna start off with two Ultraman figures. Yeah, I don't think you were expecting Ultraman figures, but they are more of like the vintage kind of figures, which is kind of what the Godzilla Collection is. So I do put them in the same shelf, and to be honest, they honestly fit in. Especially this figure here, because this was released back in like 1988, around when the Godzilla Collection was still like figures were still being made. So that's pretty cool. As for this figure, I really like him. It's like a kind of like a softer material compared to this figure, because it is a very hard vinyl. This is a very soft vinyl, as you can see here. And it just looks cool on my shelf. I just like the design of this Ultraman. I don't know what the names of these Ultraman are, but they just look cool. Next up is a retro figure that isn't really a Godzilla Collection figure, but I put it with the Godzilla Collection figures because it kind of fits with the style, and that is Jiger. This figure smells really bad. I don't know why. When I got him in, it just smells bad, so I just don't touch him that much. But the paint and sculpting's nice, I will say that. I do love the design of Jiger. It's pretty cool. I will say my favorite design for a monster in the Gamera series is Giron. But Jiger's a pretty cool monster, I will say that. Now to the next figure, which the next figures will actually be from the Godzilla Collection. Here is my Godzilla Collection Rodan, I believe 1956 figure, and this figure is so good, especially for 1991 standards. It looks so nice. I will say, for every single one of these Godzilla Collection figures, I don't have the tags for them, but here's a picture of what the tags typically look like for them. But it looks so good. Like, the face and everything looks nice, and the back looks so cool. I like the colors and everything. The tail is probably the only thing I don't really like. It's just too smooth, but everything else looks absolutely fantastic. Okay, so this might be the oldest figure in my entire collection. The Bandai The Godzilla Collection Mecha Godzilla 1974 that was released back in 1983, which, for those who don't know, is when the Godzilla Collection started. So this might be the oldest one currently, because for it being released in 1983, this figure is in very good condition. Thank you, Mandarake. But I do really like this design. One issue I kind of have with it, and it's not like a used figure issue, it's just like the paint when it was like first made, I assume, is that when you look at the neck here, the paint is just a bit too dark here, and it just fades to this like not even fades, just like cuts abruptly to this silver. I don't know if that's my figure's issue only, but if anyone else has an issue, please let me know. But overall, very nice, and Mechagodzilla has golden teeth. Yeah. Here is my Bandai Godzilla Collection Anguirus. I don't know which Anguirus this is from. I'd assume Destroy All Monsters. Let me check the foot. Hold on. It does not say which Anguirus this is, but I'll assume it's Destroy All Monsters because that's when this design was first being used. So I'll just assume that. This figure is beautiful, because I've wanted a proper Showa Anguirus for so long, and I know we recently got that like Dream 5 box set, but from the looks of it, this figure looks so much better than the modern one, because one, the teeth look so much better than the toy, like the Dream 5 thing, and the eyes look nicer. The sculpt just looks nicer to me, because the modern one just looks too skinny to me. As you can see with these pictures, it just looks a bit off. The eyes, I mean, the originals weren't really facing forward that well, but with the new one, it just it looks a bit off. But anyways, absolutely fantastic figure. Do like the fact that the carapace here is gold. Really helps the figure shine. Looks very nice, and the horns here, very nice. And I just realized the horn for some reason is a broken horn. Wow. Anyways, I got this figure at Mandarake for around, I think, $10 to $11. No, it wasn't. Was it? I don't remember. Anyways, pretty cool figure anyways. Here is my Bandai The Godzilla Collection Gigan. As you can see, he isn't in the best condition, but I actually got this figure for $12. He's pretty okay, not in condition-wise, just design-wise. I know a lot of people have said this about this figure in general. He doesn't really look like Gigan. That's for sure. I guess the only accurate thing about it is the head and maybe the arms, and that's about it. For one, he's black. He's not like dark green or blue like a typical Gigan figure would be, but I mean, it looks cool. I will say that. The thing I don't like is the back. For some reason, he has 2 rows of spines, and this middle part is just spikes, not the actual fins. The legs are also way too skinny, and even with its flaws, I just still really love this figure. It just looks so random. It's so different from the rest. It just looks cool on my shelf. And now for the figure, which might be my favorite Godzilla Collection figure, to be honest, I don't know, is my beloved Bandai Godzilla Collection Megalon. This figure is really tall. He's about like 9 inches tall or something, and yeah, this figure is so cool. Megalon is my favorite Godzilla monster of all time. His movie isn't really that good, but I do absolutely love his design. His design just always looked cool to me. It always appealed to me. Just like the beetle design looks so cool, and the horn, it looks cool. I will say my only gripe with it is that they didn't fully detail or paint it properly. That being, this detail here isn't fully replicated throughout the waist here. And speaking of which, unlike the modern Megalon figures where these little stripes here are painted, they're not painted here, but in return, this part here is in fact painted, which is not painted on the Movie Monster Series 1, which is sorely lacking on that figure. And yeah, it just looks nicer to me. I will say there are differences between the Memorial Box Megalon and the Godzilla Collection Megalon. That being, the Memorial Box one has paint on the thighs, and my copy doesn't have that because I have the Godzilla Collection one, and I could say that because there is a hole where the tag was supposed to be. So yeah, that's proof that this figure is just the Godzilla Collection design, and yeah. This might just be one of the most accurate Godzilla Collection figures in my entire collection. But he just looks so nice. He is like the one that stands out the most in my collection, mainly because I like Megalon, like I said like 10 times already. And yeah, hey, Editing Nate here, and I completely forgot to talk about Megalon's origin story. So, basically what happened was that, for those who don't know, this figure in particular is notoriously one of the most expensive Godzilla figures online. I've heard horror stories about it, such as Monster Island Buddies, where he basically spent nearly $100 on this figure in particular.
Megalon did in fact cost me $80. He's the first expensive toy I added to the show. But I really wanted to get him in there because I grew up with his movies, so I bit the bullet and I invested in the toy.
I know that these figures nowadays are slightly decreasing in prices, so that's a good thing. But this Megalon figure is very expensive online, and I got him in Mandarake for, I think, like $20. And this is in much better condition than any other Godzilla Collection figure I own, actually. Very cool that I got him for $20, and yeah, that's basically it for Megalon's origin story. Now, on to the next monster. Okay, so here is my Godzilla Collection Godzillasaurus figure from Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. For those who don't remember or don't know, this is the Godzilla that was on, I believe, Lagos Island. where he saves the Japanese military from the American military back in World War II, and that's where the whole weird time travel plot happens, and I don't fully know the whole story, but this figure looks cool. I got him for, I think, $20, I assume. He was just in like this little baggie, and I just like took him out of there. He looks nice. I do really like the paint on the dorsal fins here, these like little dorsal nubs. I think it's painted all the way to the tip. I'm not sure. It looks super nice. The face is very nice looking. Just look at it. The claws and everything look nice, and I do absolutely love this paint on the bottom here. It's not fully painted, but hey, it looks cool. And here is the last figure in my entire Godzilla / Kaiju collection. The Bandai, the Godzilla Collection. Godzilla 1991. Released back in 1991. This is one of the biggest figures in my entire collection that isn't Megalon. This figure's cool. Very cool. My only gripe with it, and this is literally just my copy only, he smells like curry. I don't know why. He just smells like that. But other than that, it is a very, very well made figure. I love the silver. And speaking of which, the silver is the part that is just really odd because, as you can see, it's really shiny, but that's because the figure is pretty glossy. If you see it in person, this figure really isn't that shiny over here and stuff. It's just like really at the tips and the other side. And yeah, there's not a lot of silver painted on the tail here. It's like really here and here. When you go on the other side, you can see there's a lot more silver running across. So I don't know why it's painted like that. My Godzilla Island Mod Series Heisei era Godzilla figure has the exact same problem. Maybe it's the thing with old Godzilla figures where like the tails were painted inconsistently. I don't know. But still, this figure is surprisingly accurate to Gedo Goji or 1991 Goji. Only thing I might need in my collection really is a Ghidorah to go along with this figure, but that won't happen for another while, I assume. This figure, out of all of them, is probably the most important figure in my entire collection. That being the Diamond Select Toys Vinimates Godzilla 1954. This right here is the first Godzilla figure in my entire collection. Like I said in my community post, one figure started this entire collection. Yeah, this is the figure that started my entire Godzilla collection. I also got a Godzilla 2000 figure. I don't know where he went, but this is the one I picked out first. This figure is so important to me. Very nice. Still in good condition. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have to say with this figure. And that is the end of my entire Godzilla collection. I don't know how long this video is going to be because the footage I'm recording right now is like 25 minutes long. So I don't know how long it's going to turn out with the full video, but I hope you guys enjoy this video. And that's pretty much it for me. I don't know what my next review is going to be, but stay tuned, I guess. And that is pretty much it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. See ya.